Hey y'all, it's Melinda, and welcome back to the Greenhouse. I've been waiting for you. This evening, I'm coming to you from my ladies' lounge. It's later in the day, but it's not quite evening yet, and we are all struggling a little bit with cabin fever. We've been stuck inside for what feels like days. We've just had rain and more rain over the last several days, to like the point that my yard is just like this slushy, wet mess. Everything under the back porch is soaking wet, so we're all inside, which means that my husband, the dogs, everything is just underfoot. There's not been any real time for me to just have any space to myself other than, of course, my ladies' lounge. So I'm sitting in here this evening just trying to get myself together. But I want to talk about what happened a little bit earlier this weekend. I had run errands. I typically try to run my errands on the weekend, and it was that time of the month where everything is low or running out. Like it was time to restock the paper towels, the toilet paper, the dishwasher tabs, just all of the things. So I ran all of my errands, and I was putting away some things into the pantry, and I caught the mop bucket out of the corner of my eye just sitting there glaring at me, letting me know that it knew, and well, I knew too, that it had been far too long since my kitchen floor had had a thorough mopping. I had used the Swiffer and I had spot mopped here and there, but that had been longer than I cared to admit since I had pulled out the actual mop and really thoroughly mopped the floors the way that they deserve and need to be, with 2 dogs underfoot and with all the rain that we've had. But I just hadn't had it in me to get it done. I've been spending my time, my energy, and my resources building this community, building this bloom, and really all of my time, that's what I want to spend doing because it's what's important to me right now. And with all of that, and then the other things that are happening in my life was just full, like full. So mopping the floors wasn't a high priority. It needed to get done, but it was one of the things on the list that just kept getting shuffled further and further to the bottom and just wasn't getting done. And it bothered me some, particularly seeing that mop bucket and knowing that the floors genuinely needed the good mopping, because keeping my house neat or straight and tending to my space makes me feel good. I like to see the freshly vacuumed carpet lines in the carpet when it's done. I love the smell of clean laundry. One of my favorite things to do is sit out on the back porch when the dryer's going and smell the laundry. And if you know that smell, either you love it or you hate it. But those are just some of the things that I really enjoy. And I wasn't getting them done the way that I like to. Laundry was still happening like clockwork because it had to happen. But mopping the floors, dusting, and some of the other things just kind of started falling by the wayside. So because everything has been so heavy, and I know that there's only a finite amount of time or energy or resources that I made a decision. And I've hired someone to come in, and they're going to mop the floors, to dust the molding, both the crown and the base, and then give me a little bit of my time back. And I know that that's a luxury. And I also know that that's not available to everyone else. And I don't take that privilege lightly. But I also know that my time is better spent right now building this community, building the greenhouse, ensuring that people are learning about the 5 pillars. And these things are things that I believe only I can tend to right now. And as a result, that's where my energy belongs. So the mop bucket, it's still going to be used just by someone else. So when I made that decision, I really struggled with it because that's something I've never done before. I've never outsourced my housework. I've always maintained that. And it really got me to thinking about cultivation and are we really spending our time, our energy, our resources, our compassion even on the things that we want to grow? Or are we spending them on things that maybe have already finished and aren't offering our lives anything positive anymore? Are we spending our time and those resources that are finite on the things that matter most? Because what I'm learning is that every single time I say yes to one thing, I'm quietly saying no to something else. And that's a perfect example of what was happening. So every single second I spend doing something that someone else could do or that someone else should do, that is precious time that I'm not spending on the things that right now only I can do. So this is not about outsourcing everything and optimizing yourself into a productivity machine. That's the last thing that we want to do in the bloom or in the greenhouse. Instead, this is about truly noticing where it is that you're spending your best energy and asking yourself honestly whether that's where it belongs, whether that's where you should be putting that energy. And my mop bucket taught me that. See, tending to my home, it matters to me. But tending to this community, growing this community, the version of myself that's finally showing up fully, unapologetically as me, that matters more right now. And those two things, they've been in competition. And I had to make a choice. And I made a choice. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know for how long I'll keep someone coming in. But for now, I'm going to enjoy the extra time that it gives me back to pour into other things that matter. You know, my husband and I, we have a camp that's in the middle of the woods, about 2 hours away from where we live. And in the wintertime, he spends almost as much time there as he does at home. This camp, it is in the middle of the woods, and it's quiet, and it's peaceful. You know, there's not a fast food restaurant for miles, so anything that you want to bring with you, you have to pack it in with you. There's no, you know, it's a 25-minute ride to get anything that you might need, and what options you have are going to be limited. And because he works so hard with his seasonal job during the summertime, it's a place for him to escape to. So he'll typically leave to head up on Thursday afternoons, and he'll usually come home on Sundays, and sometimes I go with him, but more often than not, I tend to stay home. And when I stay home, I usually give myself full permission to do whatever or exactly what I want to do and nothing more. Maybe it's watching rom-coms on TV or getting lost in a holiday Hallmark movie. What my husband likes to refer to as my homework TV, which is, you know, my crime documentaries or murder TV, crime shows. And I'm not ashamed to admit that more often than not, dinner for me might become a cup of yogurt and a handful of berries, and I'm good to go because there's no reason to cook a full meal for just me. And I enjoy that time. And I like to only have to worry about myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the weekends when the weekend is over and it's time for him to come home, because I do believe that what they say about distance does make the heart grow fonder. But sometimes it can be a little bit lonely. And other times it can be the most peaceful, enjoyable thing in the world. And what's really strange about that dichotomy is some days I love the peace and quiet. And then other times I feel guilty for loving that peace and quiet. But what I've had to remind myself is the rest that I take advantage of on those weekends, it's not something that I have to earn. And rest or space, those are not things that you deserve only after you've done everything or completed your checklist or all attended to and completed all of your chores. Because tending to yourself, that is the work, the actual work. It is not the reward after everything else is done. Learning to tend to yourself and meet your own needs is the work. It is the thing we have to figure out how to make the best use of our time. So this week, that's my question for you. What in your life is your mop bucket? What's the one thing on your list that keeps glaring at you, smirking at you? Again, not because it doesn't matter, but because it's taking up the space, the energy, or the resources that truly belong to something else right now. I'm not saying to go out and hire anyone. I'm not saying to outsource anything. Maybe whatever it is, you just need to let it wait. Take it off the to-do list for now. Maybe, and I know how hard this is, you need to ask for help. Ask one of your children, ask a friend, ask your spouse, ask your partner for a little bit of help. Or maybe you just need to give yourself permission to say, I'm not doing that right now. I'm not sure when I will, but it's not a priority at this moment. Because cultivation and deciding where we spend our energy is not doing more. It's choosing better, choosing what we do because it enriches our life, not because we need to check a box. So my ask for you today is to go to maintainingmelinda.com/quiz and take the free quiz and find out which of the 5 pillars of the bloom may be asking for your attention right now. Maybe it's cultivation. Ironically, that's been mine lately. Maybe it's something different. I'd love to know what yours is. The link will be in the show notes as well. And until next time, I will be right here in the greenhouse waiting for you. Have a great day, everybody.